betting for every esports fan. Dota 2 and Hearthstone, CSGO and Overwatch, StarCraft 2, the choice is yours. Express bets for multiple matches or live bets on the game you are watching right now. Know your way around Dota 2? Make a prediction for picks and bans. Playing CSGO? Guess the number of rounds in a certain match. Daily quest for all participants and all the best choice of payment systems. More than 600,000 users have already made their bets on the spectacular matches since 2011. EGB.com. You know for sure who's gonna win.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Starladder iLeague Star Series Season 3. We are switching things up just a little bit. We have got rid of Harry, unfortunately, but it will be Scrawny actually joining us for this second series of today.
That is I, Tom, and I am happy to be here along your side. Of course, you guys had yourselves an exciting matchup to get tonight started, but now, of course, we've got Heroic versus alternate attacks, and Group C is starting to shape itself into something quite impressive of a back and forth affair. Of course, Heroic sitting 1-1 in their series, beating out Fnatic Academy with that 2-0 score, and then giving up an 0-2 to Vega Squadron. As you said, with the addition of Yugi, maybe going through a bit of some difficulties there in that series. And alternate attacks, meanwhile, having lost to Fnatic Academy, so something that Heroic was able to get under their belts, the attacks weren't able to do so the same, which makes this match incredibly interesting, as do the map picks.
Yeah, I want to talk about just quickly the idea that basically alternate attacks get to decide this. That's what I'm really excited about. So they have 2 games left. They got Heroic, they've got Vega. So if they win both, they go through. If they lose to one of the teams and win one, then the team that wins goes through. And then if they lose both, we have a 3-way tie on 6 points. Everything gets confusing and someone has to work out the maths. Obviously, not me. But either way, we are going to have a little look at the map pool quickly before we go into the game. I will just leave you with a little bit of the background as well, just so we can have a look at that. But yeah, map picks wise, I'm not that surprised, but I think the interesting thing is actually the way that this has gone. That yesterday we saw alternate attacks pick Nuke. This time Nuke was picked for them, so then they actually go for a Mirage instead. Obviously the cash ban, not really anything too surprising, but I think for both teams it's actually a pretty good map pool. I think we should have quite an exciting matchup.
Yeah, there's definitely the possibility for that to occur. Now, I think that Nuke just naturally lends itself to Heroic in the sense that, well, I mean, with this newest roster, I'm not sure, but I know that Tricked, of course, the older team for Yugi, was incredibly confident with their gameplay here on Nuke, and it was one of their go-to choices as well. And we had seen Heroic play it quite commonly throughout a multitude of tournaments, and so no huge surprise to me, especially considering, of course, this is a Danish team. It seems as though the Danes are very comfortable with Nuke just in general. It's very active within their local tournaments, and so for that to just kind of spill over into the series today, again, not too big of a surprise. But like you said, alternate attacks chose it yesterday, so that too shows some comfort for them. A very possible back and forth map between the two teams, and even with Mirage as well, I think alternate attacks' choice plays into the hands of Heroic a bit. All 3 maps here can be comfortable for both teams, which again just makes this all that more exciting.
Of course, I think we're going to be going into this pretty soon. Obviously, we spoke about like Yugi being an addition, but obviously, I think alternate attacks, since they've actually lost the big man Kiev, they've lost KZ as well. They have added in Oscarish, obviously, someone quite well known from FPL, but other than that, he's been in a few Polish teams as stand-ins. We've seen him come into Kingwin a little bit. I think he may have gone for AGG for a bit as well, but we haven't really seen the excitement, I suppose, with alternate attacks. I always loved watching just the Kiev freestyle in mostly online play, but just such a good AWPer. So, like, do you think they've really replaced him? Because one thing that they don't have at the moment for sure is an AWPer, or at least a primary.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Kiev had impact not only in his ability to consistently perform at the top of the scoreboard, but also within his role itself, right? It was a very crucial component to their team, like you said. That primary op role, not quite so filled. And honestly, I think that in this case, versus a player like Yugi, who is kind of coming into this roster to do exactly that, there really isn't that fit for alternate attacks. There is not that counter. Like you mentioned, the team just hasn't really kind of been finding itself solidified since Kiev has left, and with Kazuya as well also dropping out, that was another secondary impactful player. Like you mentioned, Oskrish as well, a very formidable player coming in from the Polish scene, but maybe not necessarily as impactful as the two heaviest hitters that alternate attacks were using. So both these teams going through growing pains right now with a very shuffled roster from what we saw, say, 6 months ago. And so it's going to be interesting. That's certainly the moral of the story. But we are into the pistol, Tom. It is live.
Yeah.
No, it's the knife.
It's the knife, but close enough. You just done exactly what Hugo does.
I mean, armor on knife. That's rare to me. That's a Starladder thing.
I like it. I like it. I think Face It might do it as well. I think there's a little bit.
Yeah, just not ESCA.
ESCA and EU. It's just it's not as big. It's not as big.
What's that?
But yeah, now we will actually get the pistol. It does mean, of course, a nuke knife round can be pretty crucial. Obviously, alternate attacks. I don't want to say it, but the way that they played yesterday it's just blown my mind, because like for example, I think they were 11-1 up CT side nuke. They lose that map in overtime. They were 14-2 up on the going into the CT, or they're on the CT side now of Cash, lose that map as well in overtime. Still clearly having some problems, but at the same time you have to talk about the idea, okay, they got to the top of that position at the same time. They got to that position to be winning in the first place.
We're going to see what they can throw our way. Alternate attacks already going to start to break out the windows from above the A bomb site. They are playing with Crisby off of some utility here. One smoke and the double flash, which he is going to throw forward as alternate attacks push into the bomb site. It will be Snappy to take the first. Yugi grabs the second. Crisby's going to be able to find a bit of a trade, and suddenly attacks on the front foot, seeing as it's a 3v2. Madi working his way in from the hut, trying to find a headshot, and he will take two. Down to the 1v1. ECF caught in the open, taking shots back and forth, and it will be Madi who comes out on top.
Look at the celebration as well.
What was that duel? A 3K for Madi on the flank through the hut. I mean, that last frag, though, the one that decides the round, could have easily gone either way if either of those players could have found a headshot.
Well, the great thing about that round was, up to that duel at the end, both players had just hit headshots. They walked in, they'd cleaned up kills really, really quickly, and then that was just a sort of awkward moment, the decision who's going to get the third kill of the round, and well, it comes out on the heroic side. They get the pistol on the CT side. They get the start. Obviously, with the bomb going down, we're just going to see some pistols invested for the German side of alternate attack. Well, German and one Pole. But, yeah, definitely not the way that the T's wanted that to go. They started so wonderfully, but clearly Modi was in the way. And actually, I think we saw him being very clutch yesterday as well on the CT side. But Snappy will start things off. Ekman, he's not happy. Clearly, after the last couple of rounds, or the last duel at least, he's just going to walk back in. This is nice position from Crispy as well. Going to be able to clean up one more, bringing it back to actually a 3 versus 2. Yugi only has a dig, was saving in this round, and now Modi's got to do it all over again.
He's going to be able to find himself one. Tizian directly underneath him, spots him through the gap and hits the headshot. A very tight angle for Modi to grab that frag from. So already he's gotten 2 etched into the belt, looking for the final third. Searson, playing only on the P250 and a frag grenades, worked his way into the dark corner here with the cover of the boxes by his side. Madi does not have a kit, so he really needs to express lanes this. He peeks out, and it's to his demise. Madi finds himself killed as Searson takes the headshot, and alternate attacks bounce back immediately, Tom. No conversion points here for Heroic. Yugi's saved money at this point, not going to be working out all too much, so he's just going to hang on to that. And does buy down some slightly. Yes, they're going to go for the force here. All right, full force.
Okay, UMP meta. That's what we're in at the moment. UMP hell, as we're just seeing this weapon all over the place at the moment. We are going to see Yugi with quite a bit of utility, and we'll actually be heading over towards ramp. Rifles across the board. Of course, alternate attacks win that round after pretty much only saving. They were just trying to get themselves enough money to buy into the next round. Valde, he really likes this aggressive push. He's been playing this regularly with, well, mixed results to say the least. We'll see if it works out for him here. He's got a lot of players around him, and it's not going to. He loses his life, and that's already out of control. Pretty much lost. Modi is here with a scout. Not going to be able to achieve too much. I think he does actually hit a tag onto Searson, though.
All right, some damage dealt, and Heroic still firmly in control of the inner building. Of course, they had pushed themselves up into the lobby, and Crisby is playing from the roof above, so he could find an audio cue if Snappy's not too careful, but meanwhile, CT is just going to lie in wait. Ultimately, aTTaX need to find their way inside eventually, and it seems as though they're going to try to wrap things back around to hell. Madi not going to go into heaven, but instead just continuously shuffling his position here. The uncertainty quite clear. More nades coming into the A bomb site as Oshkris finds himself another frag. Here comes Snappy, though, revealing his position as he drops the bomb, but Ekfin able to grab the trade frag, and now it's down to the 2v4. Alternate aTTaX poised to find the conversion point, and Yugi's just going to buy more time here. Madi continuing to creep his way through the lobby, but so incredibly scared about dying here. Both players from Heroic are going to call the save, and there you've got it. Alternate aTTaX find themselves another round.
Yeah, I definitely think that this is the right decision as well. There are a few low players. Can't really expect much. Yugi doesn't actually have a kit either, so I would have maybe liked to see it if they had something a bit more, but unfortunately there's not too much that can be done. Crispy's actually going to find that scout as well, so only Yugi going to be able to save in this position, hoping that somebody will push out of main and maybe hand him a frag, and, well, more importantly, an AK, and the bomb may even push that further in his direction, which means he will at least be able to take something into the next round. So not too bad. Obviously, the fact that they've been broken at this point is just going to help the economy of alternate aTTaX so much, and the fact is, pushing forward, they're already going to have what should be 3 rounds, unless Yugi can go absolutely nuts.
Yeah, this is actually quite interesting. Yugi just going to curb down that cash flow. So he is actually incredibly competitive in this round. Not only with the AK and the armor, but the molly and the double flashbang. We'll see if he can make a play. Of course, he's going to have some pawns sitting in front of him to at least try to open up shop, grab him some information so that he can put himself in the best spot possible. But alternate aTTaX already going to take control of the outer yard for absolutely free. Valdez rotated himself to the bottom of Secret off at the USP, but again, it's just vanilla pistols barring Snappy's P250s, so they should not have a fighting chance whatsoever. Alternate aTTaX already making good use of the changes to nuke, wrapping all the way on the outer yard into heaven. Ekfin has to be extra cautious, seeing as those counter-terrorists are so dangerously close.
Still waiting to see if anything can be done by a young Yugi. He did not have a good day yesterday playing this map, and well, Ekfin is already going to remove one of his teammates. He will get one, but unfortunately, with no upper control, it's going to be very, very easy for the T's to just take over this round. Now, Tizian is low. Ekfin has been tagged a little bit, so maybe these USPs can do just an extra bit of damage, and in fact, hey, Valdez just going to pick up that AK and probably back out of this round. They need all the economy they can get at this point, even with the loss bonus. They're only going to have 2,400 going into the next round. I'll be interested to see if there's any sort of AWP play coming in from Yugi, because he doesn't have a huge amount of cash left in his bank account.
Yeah, that's what really made this buy down so surprising, in my opinion, is that, again, we could see the fact that on the second round, he's playing only on the Deagle, clearly showing us how crucially he wanted his hands on the AWP. But now, as you just mentioned, this time around with his buying, it's just not quite there. So a bit of a turn in strategy possibly already here from Heroic. Either way, Valde will save at least one AK-47 here. Crispy's going to drop out Madi, and an additional frag is found versus alternate aTTaX. So they'll grandfather forward 3 rifles. Valdez going to take that 1. AWP still bought up for Yugi, but it's on a glass cannon. So clearly the limitation shines through. A ump in the hands of Nino, or Nico.
Nico, yeah.
Changing his name, I suppose.
I think he did doing this yesterday as well. But let's see if this AWP, and let's see if it is the limitation of the armor. Obviously, it's still a very effective weapon, but versus nades can become very, very dangerous. Just going to go for a relatively passive hold. Obviously, there's still that push outside. Or actually, in fact, there's not. Valde's actually gone into unders as well. Going to play around sort of lower area, just coming back in. Able to find anything just yet. If they do push towards Secret, he will be there to try and challenge, and looks for the pick early on. Will tag Ekfin, but not going to do anything too damaging, and they'll in fact just Molotov him out. And this will give them quite a lot of control around outer at the moment. They are going to push straight into this AWP, however, but Yugi's going to be missing this shot, and this was something we saw quite a bit yesterday, him getting isolated outside, and they'll need him to step up if they're going to take control of this area.
Snappy's going to get pressured, but Valde takes that first frag off of the wide peak from the outer yard. Crispy's able to catch it, though, in a great position to trade the frag, but Snappy takes it back by 1, as does Oshkris, and Tizian chiming in for an additional frag leaves Heroic at the man disadvantage. Not only that, but their players currently split. Yugi trying to get himself safely back from hell. He knows, of course, there was presence on that outer yard, seeing as it's where the majority of these gunfights did occur. But for the time being, alternate attacks just going to get themselves into the A bomb site, find the plant for free, and yet again, a similar story to previous rounds, we find Heroic in a safe position.
Yeah, this is very unfortunate this early on in the game. Just going to be having to keep their weaponry safe, but obviously, well, from what we've seen so far from alternate attacks in previous matches, their CT side is strong. Like, the fact is, they won 11 rounds versus Fnatic Academy. They should have got more. They actually lost, I think, 3 of the 4 last rounds. Otherwise, it would have been an absolutely dominant half. Modi is going to be able to take down one. Still keeping this a little bit costly, and Yugi should have the shot onto Oscarish as well. So shouldn't lose any weapons from here on out. Although Tizian does look like he's about to go hunting. Now, their economy isn't anything too good at this point. And in fact, he'll die to the bomb. So forcing quite a lot of rebuys. They will, of course, have the money to purchase back up, but don't really know why he was going for anything too crazy there.
Not even going for anything too crazy, but going for something crazy while being so close to the bomb. It's one thing if you die to the counter terrorist because you get over aggressive, but that was a little bit of a waste here from alternate. Now, of course, when you got this amount of cash flow, let it rain. They'll go ahead and buy back into the AKs. Plenty of utility as well for them to execute forward with. And honestly, alternate attacks have been showing us quite a solid T side thus far. They've had nice set piece executions into the A bomb site, great rotations on the outer yard, and the trade fragging being found. This time around, yet again, they will pop out the skylights so that they can execute forward, but they're actually going to throw a wall of smokes on the outer yard. So alternate could actually find themselves wrapping down into secret. No, they do not. They are just going to move themselves forward quickly at that into the mini position, burn the players from secret back. Valde still has no information. They've got no idea as to where exactly they are, seeing as Yugi's bolstered into the B bomb site. Nico gonna take 3 though. Snappy able to grab the 4th, so that A transition absolutely shut out, and Heroic find themselves around. Now, they do lose 1 player. Nico dropped out of it in the end, but Modi cleans up shop, so they minimize their losses. What a solid hold on that A-bomb site. All the nades on the outer yard, Tom. Nope, they're not buying it. They transition into the A site, and they get completely obliterated.
Yeah, this is just sort of one of those things that we saw again. This is almost a repeat. Like, there was very little to show for a lot of the players in this match, but Nico was absolutely phenomenal. I think it was it versus Vega? I think he had something like 35, 36 frags, and then there was Chopper on 37, just one-upping him towards the end. So it was a battle of those 2 players. Now, if he can step up like that again, I don't know if there's going to be too many players on the opposing team that can actually hold up to just his skill ceiling. He is a phenomenal youngster, so interested to see about that A site hold. Obviously, I'm still not convinced about their outer hold at the moment. They have actually switched up Yugi's positioning at the moment. He's going to be taking a more aggressive angle with that AWP, and I do think that's needed. We'll have to fall back a little bit, but he's going to get that first kill, and Valde's actually there to support. Look how aggressive he is. Maybe taken down by Oscarish if he's not careful, but they can't peek too aggressively themselves because the AWP is still holding. But it will just be a straight trade, but still, 4-3, man advantage will sit with this CT side at the moment. And this is where that sort of loss of a few players in that latter round maybe a little bit worrying for alternate attacks. This Modi, well, he's going to pick up 2 over towards ramp.
Yeah, now we find Heroic getting their legs underneath them. These rounds quite convincing back-to-back at this point. Oh, Oscarish gonna make it a bit more troublesome though. Takes down 1 frag before Nico grabs himself the flank. So, as you had mentioned, that little transition into the outer yard, repositioning Yugi from the ramp out towards the garage, helps him pick up 1 of those frags, and then Valde's forward position just under the lip of the silo, of course, allows for that flooding of terrorists to also be shut down. So, great usage of the outer yard here from Heroic, starting to get a bit of a feel for it versus the aggression of alternate attacks, who now find themselves back down into the pistols. So despite that great 4-round start, Heroic have put themselves back in a position to slow the roll and curb the amount of rounds that alternate can get from here on out. It is going to be a push though from alternate outside once more. Oscarish on top of the silo as Crisby attempts the cross. Yugi will clothesline him and take that opening frag.
Yeah, a little bit problematic when you don't have any smokes and you're going outside, but they will still get a kill onto Valde. And, okay, Yugi a little bit trigger happy at this point, manages to do a little bit of damage to his teammate. Searson, he can get around here. There's an AWP in the hands of Yugi. That would be horrific, and I don't think he's going to spot him because of the scope. He eventually flicks in, and, well, the reaction is just about there to save himself. Snappy will finish off this round, and well, not really much more than expected. Only pistols put in play. You're challenging outside. I'm really surprised they actually even got the kill onto Valde.
Yeah, I mean, that's now 3 rounds in a row where they've found themselves 1 or 2 frags, so they're trying to curb that cash flow from Heroic, but not doing quite all too great of a job of it. Heroic going to be sitting on double AKs, double M4s, and the AWP in the hands of Yugi. Still no counter AWP for alternate attacks just as of yet. They will transition back into the buy down with the 5 AKs. Valde getting aggressive on the outer yard once more, this time not from on high, but rather off the dirt. Ekfin on the other side of the smoke grenade, though, could be wary of his presence, and he spots him out. The flash goes forward. Valde tries to get aggressive, but Ekfin takes the frag. So now 3 players for alternate attacks here towards the trophy room, going to start and push him into the ramp where Madi will fall back. Use the flash to cover himself as he retreats into the safety of control.
And this is, well, a very good so far for the T side. They've taken map control. Not only that, but they've also got that first pick. And I'm not a fan of the way that Valde is playing at the moment. It is very hit and miss. And if he's not finding those kills, it just means that they're basically throwing away a man advantage very early into these rounds. See a sort of similar style with Config and Cajun on the outer parts, but it is normally a much more passive outer hold that they actually see. Either way, we are going to have this push in. It will be a quick trade. Nico managing to get 1, but they're still going to take the man advantage, and Yugi trying to do something from upper, but he's just getting naded back. Now, with the bomb down, it's going to be a difficult retake at the moment. And Modi, he needs a distraction for him to even get onto the site.
We get flashed up, so this prevents him to move forward. Crisby in a very interesting position on that ladder. Still, the CT is yet to execute forward, though. Here comes Crisby. He peeks up. He's going to take the frag. Yugi removed from the equation, and that's going to force Madi back down into the B bomb site. Snappy as well, tucking tail to fight another day. Heroic. They've given up a round to alternate attacks, and Snappy has to be cautious. He hears the player up above him, rattling off some rounds. Oh, Ekfin hits the headshot.
Was that a fadeaway kill?
Yep. Like it's not even a big deal, Tom.
That was madness. I thought he, somehow, when he was swinging that, I thought he hit the player bottom right, because I was just so confused as to what he just did, but, oh, he does get himself the kill. I don't even know. I genuinely don't even know, but they will have the money to buy, so it's not too bad for the CT side. Yugi's going to get his AWP, not a glass cannon this time, which is obviously a benefit, and everybody else will have the straight M4 A1S.
Valde has continuously gotten aggressive on the outer yard, but previously, unfortunately, that one duel with the smoke, he didn't have a player to trade him out, so it was a very individual decision for him to go for such a fight. This time around, he's actually going to assume a position more safely in the back of the garage, and Yugi will be playing from the back of the generator. Yes, so do I. Seeing, of course, as they have this more passive crossfire, this also allows for Yugi to flick upwards onto the catwalk if Ekfin decides to try and round the corner to heaven, like we have seen alternate do before. So the options are open, and as is the shot, Yugi going to find the opening pick of the round. Oskarish hits the dirt, and suddenly Heroic in the 5v4 are looking for more, but the wall of smokes from alternate will allow for them to assume control of Secret.
I think they were expecting Valde to be aggressive, and that's why they didn't throw that down originally, which did actually catch out their first player. Oscar, a little bit too far forward. Now Yugi can just play this rotation role. This is already looking so much better. He's going to switch back and look at Valde. They're all going to be lined up behind. Unfortunately, Ekford does think of the idea that maybe this could happen, but he's still done the damage necessary. Nico will take 1, and this leaves it Searson, 9 HP. A lot of work to do. He's going to come pushing back in and get dunked by Modi to end the round as well. Heroic bringing it back. And that will hurt the T economy quite a bit just because of the sort of one and done nature of it. But they will have enough to at least invest something into this round.
Yeah, they're lucky, of course, that in the 9th round they survive with 4 players, because it's exactly that keeps 2 of their players still above $5,000, and will justify this force by giving them at least a bit more to fight with. They still have the limitation of the double tech 9, but of course with 3 rifles, we've seen them do more with less. Nades aplenty, and already they transition into the lobby control. They're going to have some presence on the outer yard, where yet again Valde gets aggressive. This time he wins the fight versus Ekfin, and from here he could just turtle shell up, fall back into the safety of the spawn, and just use the man advantage to really ensure they close out the round. But damage has been dealt to 2 other players for alternate attacks, so softened targets in front of the Danish team. Nico on the other side of the smoke grenade, dangerously close to these T-side players who now are flash and an additional frag. Searson and Oskarish going to try to close the distance. Nico takes another kill, but it will be Valde to trade it back as Crispy does the same. He's 1v3 stepping to his death as Madi rotates in from the heavens. Heroic will find the lead.
Yeah, and this is actually going to be where the pain begins for alternate aTTaX. They don't have too much to play with. Obviously, they did manage to win a round like this earlier in the game. I'm sort of praying just for my sanity that they won't be able to do this again, especially on a map like Nuke. That should never really happen. But we are going to have, obviously, the full bite coming in for the CT side. They're actually going to opt to choose to pick up a UMP, which, again, just shows the way this game is going. Obviously, it will be able to farm up quite a bit of cash and, well, going for the classic rush event strategy. Try and get that bomb down. It's not going to work out. We'll take at least one kill with the Glock, but that's going to be it. Quick round. Heroic gets a 7.
Individual performances really stepping up here from multiple players on Heroic. We can see already Madi, Nico, Yugi, Snappy, just short of 10 is only Snappy. Everybody else already into the double digits here. So a great showing thus far from all the players. Everyone's had their round. Everyone's had their chance to impress. And the 7-5 scoreline ensues. Crazy to think, of course, that 4 of Alternate's round came in that one spree of victories, and since then, it's been the hard reset that's really shut them out. We'll see aggression from Heroic over towards the ramp. They're going to use some nades, boost Madi into the position just short of the door. Great spot to hold the ramp room from. But currently, Alternate going to take their time, blast out the windows, and use their grenades yet again on this outer yard. Now, luckily for Heroic, they've got Yugi on the top of the catwalk, so he's going to get confirmation of the bodies as they move forward. Searson tagged down to 18 health, but yet he still stands. It's going to be a peek coming in from Secret, though. Valde, again, trying to take an aggressive duel, and despite being on 14 health, he continues to try and take that fight. Very aggressive playstyle from him today. Yugi's going to find the opener and a great flick shot onto Searson. That finds the 5 versus 3, and yet again, alternate aTTaX at an early disadvantage.
They haven't really gained too much either. They're just going to be pushing outside at the moment, trying to get back into main, and it really isn't looking too good at this point in time. Yugi's still waiting with that AWP. They go too far. Oh, never mind. They're actually going to catch him scoped. Not going to be able to win that duel, and that does bring it back to a possible scenario, especially with Crispy taking over control of the rafters. Going to look to get back into heaven. Doesn't seem to be anybody really waiting for him. Nico, it's going to be on the site itself. Modi actually making quite a bit of noise. I'm surprised that we've seen no movement whatsoever from Tizian. He doesn't even seem bothered by the fact that somebody could be coming behind him. And in fact, he's going to get caught out. Nico will find another and hit the instant headshot. Definitely doing great work over towards that A site. And well, I guess that's why he's top of the board.
Yeah, and that's not even in a position where he's, standing above the hut entrance and is able to just mow down some unsuspecting players. This is when Nico's actually in a disadvantageous position. He has to have his attention trained above, and generally the verticality would give the edge to the terrorist side as they peek out from heaven. But unfortunately for that player, the smoke grenade kind of obscures his vision, and he turns his back as he steps on out. So alternate to give up another round, and yet again into the pistols they go. Yugi, once more, finding himself some early impact here off of the AWP. More targets will present themselves, but Valde continuously getting aggressive. This time it works out. Once more, he'll fire off, takes the second frag before Crispy finds the trade. So 2 players still up for alternate aTTaX with plenty of time, but unfortunately their numbers continue to dwindle. And it is just on the shoulders of Oskarish, who has been able to creep himself into the A-bomb site. Nico's going to get caught off guard here. The headshot's found, as is the frag. The gun drops, but unfortunately, Oskarish not going to get his hands on it just as of yet. However, he's hiding, and they've yet to find him, so he'll take another kill. He drops out Madi. Snappy behind the vents, though. He's had enough of that, Tom. He shuts him out. 9-5 the score. Heroic.
I was a little bit worried there. If he'd managed to clutch that, I think I would have had to leave. That was a little bit too close, considering all he had was a P250. They will get the buyback in, and I am intrigued by this. So Searson yesterday was picking up the AWPers sort of. I don't think we saw it on Nuke. I don't think we saw it at all on Nuke. But we did see it later in the maps. We saw a Mirage more, and it actually completely changed the way they played their game. Now on the T side of Nuke, it's definitely not a necessity. So he's clearly just going to be playing a spot. And they do actually just open up the door and quickly rush all the way into ramp. I just don't expect Valde. He's now switched up his spot, got all the way back in, trades, and Tizian is low. In the meantime, time Nico's found another, but this is just cleaning up at the moment. Finally, a trade will come in, and that AWP is no longer homed on that very angle, so Snappy's going to get a freebie.
Really cool play there from Heroic. While they did lose control of ramp, and Valde clearly knew it, seeing as he was taking frags there too to his name. The rest of Heroic actually push into the lobby here, and they catch off that op. Now you'll have Oscars trying to rotate back in to at least grab one of those frags, and unfortunately for him, they already had all the map control they needed. The crossfire was set, and the 10th round found as alternate attacks will stagnate on 5. Now again, they had those 4 rounds straight out the gates, and despite losing the pistol, they won the force buy. So you could argue, of course, that the 3rd and 4th rounds are a product of that early upset. The 5th round's a little bit of a bonus as the bomb goes off, but of course, even within that round, Tom, we still had 2 players standing for Heroic, so it was only the time that ultimately lost them it. And so alternate attacks, that T side was actually quite deflated.
Yeah, no, they could have done much, much more with that. I definitely agree. And, well, considering how the start went, I think Heroic have got to be pretty happy with how the CT side ended. They have actually got a double raid boss in play. They've got Valde and Nico with these Tech 9s. And, well, we know how powerful these pistols can be. I think people have been calling for a nerf for, well, coming up to probably years now. But never mind. We are just going to see what looks like an explosive A play. They've delayed it a little bit, obviously wasting any utility that's come out, and now we'll just see the straight push Tizian. Well, he's being tapped down. It will be the rotation quickly from Crispy. He's going to hit a nice couple of one-taps, and now Snappy, the man who seemed to drop everything, has now been left with a Glock, no armor, and 3 players to find.
It's crazy that Heroic actually had 2 raid bosses in this round. Double Kevlar, double Tech 9s, and they both go down to just 2 headshots from Crispy, so just goes to show $3,000 mitigated by 2 bullets, and Searson grabs himself that final frag. So alternate attacks, they've got their legs underneath them here in the second half. It's the start that they needed, but with that in mind, remember, of course, that Heroic picked up their CT pistol as well. Again, you were just mentioning how the pistols and armor can be so powerful, so this is what we've got on the table. Heroic buying back into the Tech 9s. They're going to have themselves the double flash, double smoke execution. And what's really cool is that it's actually split across 4 players. So I would love to see them all use that at the exact same time so that they can all then push forward at the exact same time, as opposed to having, say, 1 player dedicated to continuously chucking grenades. You can just hit it on a team-based execution, and those kinds of plays will generally overwhelm a CT player who may get caught off guard by the sheer numbers advantage. We'll see as the T side push into the hut. Searson grabs the first one. Yugi trades back, and he hits the headshot. They are already training their attention towards main, as that's where Crisby found his frags in the last round. Nico gonna close the distance, but to his demise, he drops out. Yugi swapping on out to the CZ still in hand, and for some reason, Heroic, they've lost all of the control of that A bomb site. The CTs rotate upwards, and now Heroic are going to try to hammer things home into B. The basement left open, and alternate attacks left damaged. Ekfin on 3 HP, Crisby on 14, but still nades for the retake.
We are going to see both players attempting. They've got to get close and personal. Obviously, a couple of very low players, so it is still possible. Oscar, the one with the kit, and the majority of the HP on his side at the moment. Now, Ekman could be going down relatively soon, but he actually takes the frag. This leaves it all onto Snap. He doesn't have any head armor, so has to be very careful, but he is going to find that first kill. Now, Oscar is just going to get on this bomb with the kit. Needs to spam away a little bit more here, but he's just dodging the bullets and gets him just afterwards. He may be able to clean up every single player. That's something at least to make this costly. Now, if you're in Heroic's position, do you force here? That's the question. You've just dropped every player on their team.
It's tantalizing. It is, honestly, but I think Heroic would be better off to just let that one. Oh, all right, they're gonna do it. I was gonna say, let it slip. You know you've already dealt a ton of damage to alternate attacks. Alternate attacks are obviously gonna buy, right? That's the real given. And if they're buying in, it's with this, a deflated purchase. Double mag 7, not all the nades in the world. So if you were still able to find 2 or 3 frags in this round as Heroic, you would just be going into the next one with an absolute advantage on your AKs. But ultimately, they're gonna try to really gamble into this one. They will have 2 and an AK to the Heroic side with double Tech 9. So not the worst of buy downs here. Again, if Heroic can keep making these rounds incredibly close, then eventually the round loss bonus and the fact that they're on the terrorist side will still allow for them to get that economic bone behind them. And once they've got that, they're firing on all cylinders. So can they make it work? That's the big question. It is a gamble, most certainly, but it's a gamble that could certainly pay off.
more importantly, from my perspective, Tizian has a Mag 7, so I'm happy. I'm sorted for this one. I want to be watching that point of view, but he actually drops down the vent. This is perfect. Yugi jumps down and he misses both shots with the mag. That's not going to be helpful at all. Searson now down to 2 HP, and so far this force buy has been working wonderfully. Ekvan knows where Yugi is. The problem is how to actually get down there without doing anything else. Snappy going to be holding the lurk again, but it's actually going to be a couple of trades straight back. The position of Oscar is wonderful, but he's only going to get the one. And now look again, it's a similar position, except this time there's more T's on the other side. 5 HP between 2 players. They've got to be careful where they walk. And just as I say that, Crispy kills his teammate.
He also kills an enemy, though, so brings it back to the 1v2. Has the health to play this, and also smokes off the doorway. So Maudie, of course, these guys are going to have flashbacks to the previous round, but luckily for them, they will peek wide. The bomb not smoked off, and Crispy's standing in the open. So Heroic win the round based off of the force buy. Again, it was a gamble, but certainly one that was calculated. And so it's cool to see that pay off for them. Early aggressive buy-ins has been the name of the game. And so Heroic, 11-7 now. They've got themselves still that 4-point lead and also an economic advantage. But Oscar flies into the MP9, completely bottoms out. All right. All right. Deagles across the board for the rest of alternate attacks. And this is a lineup who when they had Kazuya and Kiev, would always go for the 5 Deagle play, the Deco. And they've always seemed to make some impact off of it. So again, this is alternate attacks, despite being in a disadvantage as Heroic were in the previous round, at least still competitive. But no utilities and only an MP9 as far as primaries. It's going to be a real tall task. Oskrish towards the ramp, though. He'll find the first, looking for more as the terrorists start to push their way forward. Nico takes the trade, and a 4v4 ensues.
Not really sure what I expected to happen there. It would have been very impressive if he managed to get even more than one. We do have some pistols to play with. They have a little bit more range on them. We know what these Deeks can do. Snappy, they're actually trying to plant in the smoke, but got to be very careful. Going to be taking quite a lot of damage. Valde is actually taking the worst brunt from these pistols at the moment, but Snappy and Valde now had enough of this. They're going to clean up too, leaving Tizian and Crispy, well, next to the fire, ironically. And he'll have to try and push back in, but they know exactly where they are at this point. I wonder if it's even worth going for any sort of challenge, if not just waiting for some exits, hoping you can get a rifle, because in the next round we know they actually fully invested into this, so not going to be able to get very much on the board whatsoever. Nice shot from Tizian, though. This will give them a UMP. We know how valuable that weapon could be. The problem is, can he actually get far enough away? Crispy's actually going to get another one, making this very costly at least.
Nice little read there from Snappy. Pre-fires the repeat. Crispy gets obliterated inside the vent. So 1 ump retrieved in the hands of Tizian. He will, of course, survive with that armor and Deagle as well. So he can pass off the Deagle if nobody else wants to invest the little money that they do have. As you mentioned, they did force buy everything into that previous round. So he will chuck it over. Someone's going to pick that up. No, he's not. That's very selfish. Tizian going to keep both the ump and the Deagle while 3 players play off the USP. I mean, that's maybe I'm nitpicking,
no, I think that was
but
an accident. Yeah, there we go. He's dropped.
There we go. All right.
I think he just didn't pick up another pistol, so when he ran back over it. Unfortunately, we're already going to lose one. Searson definitely not having the performances we've begun to expect from this guy. He has been one of the hard carries for this team in the games where they played well. At the moment, very, very quiet. 8 and 15. And there hasn't really been anyone picking it up, Body. Just waiting. It's just cruel. This guy has an amazing read on Counter-Strike. He seems to know where players are. Like, if I played him in, like, a game, I would probably report him for cheating, because he just seems to know exactly where players are in clutch situations. I'm a huge fan of watching him, and we've already seen a couple. We saw it in the pistol, we saw it in the next round as well, where he's in a 1 versus 3, manages to take 2 down, doesn't quite manage the last, but just such a good mind of Counter-Strike.
I mean, that's the thing, right? That's the kind of mind, the kind of intelligent player that really rounds off the rest of the Heroic roster, right? They're bringing in these new heavy fraggers, guys like Nico, guys like Yugi, and Valde as well, having been with this roster for some time, was kind of considered the star at one point, as he was the heavy hitter when it came to the kills. Of course, back when Glaive was still a part of Heroic. So anybody here really dynamic in that sense. And when you round that off with a guy like Maudie, who can consistently get not only kills, but put himself in those very awesome clutch positions, then you've got yourself a hell of a team. And that's exactly why Heroic are ranked 18 on HLTV at the current moment. So Top 20 team here, barreling their way into the A-bomb site, getting absolutely shut out. Searson, Vizian combining for frags as Crisby takes their 4th and 5th. It will be alternate attacks grabbing themselves a victorious round. A pretty vanilla execution, if you ask me, Tom. They didn't actually go for the skylight smokes or any kind of elaborate Molotov play, despite taking the time to blow out the skylights. So, interesting execution. Doesn't work out. Heroic, however, will still be able to buy.
Yeah, I think you can take away from both, because obviously the smokes from above it makes it very obvious where you're actually going to be going. I like the Molotov as well that's thrown in. Oh, okay. Okay, Yugi. Just start off with a door. Just like, I'm going to open this, I'm going to get a kill, I'm going to just leave and come back later. But, yeah, no, I do agree. I like the smoke setup, but sometimes just the surprise factor. We saw that from Vega. They would just run into the site, get themselves the entry kills, and people didn't know what to do against them. That is basically the Vega Squadron just in general. They aren't the most strategic team in the world.
Yeah, and so I think there is an argument to be made, like you just said, for not using the smoke grenades, because it very does much give away your play. But at least I think Molotovs. If you burn off Mini, if you burn off Hut, then that explosive entry forward is going to catch players in their attempt to reposition, right? So if your goal is to catch them off guard, then that makes it all the better. But they didn't use it that round, and this time they actually try to flank out towards Heaven. And Valde continuing on his journey through the catwalks. Unfortunately, Crisby cuts him short, and Oskarish does the same out here towards ramp before Yugi hits a hell of a trade frag off of the AWP, yet again finding impact as he has 3 frags rather in the round, but he just can't do it all on his lonesome. Exactly.
4 is better than 3, guys.
Steps it up. Done. Crisby gonna find himself the 4K. He's on 20 frags now, leading the charge for alternate attacks. Yugi on 23, so a bit of a duel here between the two players. Heroic still leading by 4.
I've had a tweet that has told me that it is actually just the letters when you say Ekvin.
It is. It is
just the letters. I just find it too difficult to say quickly, though.
Yeah.
ECFN is not the quickest thing, unless you just cut off maybe the N. ECF.
That's it. There needs to be a limit on 3 characters.
Yeah. Anything else, and it's just like, God, I'm not being paid enough to say 4 letters. Come on. Come on, guys.
That's where we draw the line. Caster rights. Valde's going to get hit up early on here on the outer yard. Drops to 58. Nico as well, and then dropped, actually. Crispy's going to hit that headshot, but Valde brings it back. Excellent marksmanship there with the pistol. Swaps out to the Deagles. Going to look for more here as the CT side aggress from on above. Yugi taking the trade. Tizian with the Mag 7, able to get himself a frag as well, and now we've got it being pieced together here from alternate attacks, kill after kill, until it's only Yugi standing with a 10th of his health remaining. Now he's already holding the angle, but so sick. The pre-fire. Dope stuff here. Heroic still in the lead, 3 points on the board ahead of alternate attacks, but this is certainly starting to piece itself into a solid CT side.
Yeah, the thing is, they were very good previously on the CT side. Obviously, the way that things have gone so far, they lost sort of after, like, basically the early buy just completely caught them. That was what it was. They lost that round, and after that, it was sort of the reset that caught them a little bit. So they've definitely got a good chance of pushing that one forward a little bit. The problem is now, only 3 rounds needed for Heroic. Now, they didn't manage too much better than this the last time. See whether they can do more this time, and I'm liking the aggression at the moment. They've got to catch out body though, and they will do that. Nice teamwork to actually take that early duel. They've taken a lot of damage in the meantime, and the problem is they have abandoned outside completely, so they are going to push down secret, and it will be more of a B site challenge. But the rotation is already in. 2 players, Oscar and ECFN. Tizian's actually going to find one with the Mag 7 as well.
Nico going to get dropped out of the window. Oskarish grabs the headshot over the flip of the control panel. Snappy, though, takes it back and does just dodge that shell. He's actually going to grab himself the frag. So suddenly we're back down to the 2v3 here. Yugi equalizes things once more, but it's a big flank from Searson. Could easily catch off Yugi. Snappy going to be keeping his attention elsewhere. So yes, the frag goes out for free. No trade is found, but Snappy's going to creep his way forward. Nearly finds himself the kill onto Searson, but that's a big 3K from Searson in the round, and those last 2 frags were oh so clutch, keeping alternate in the fight here. 11-13. This is now quite a mirrored instance as far as the T sides go. A pistol victory for the counter-terrorist side. Heroic and both alternate aTTaX getting some early terrorist rounds in, but once the economy gets rolling for alternate aTTaX and Heroic as well, their CT rounds are really pieced together, and it's not in the form of defuses, Tom, by the skin of their teeth, but rather convincing frag rounds.
Well, both times it was forces as well. Speaking of forces, how is he so good with this CZ? Second time we've just seen him entry 2 kills. This time it's over towards ramp. Doing more with that weapon than he has been with the AWP, but 27 and 12 at the moment. Modi adds another to the death toll. And that's only going to be Crispy and Searson to try and challenge this one back. How much do they really go for here? Now, obviously, the more they do, the more weaponry gets thrown away, but I think that might change the decision a little bit. Obviously, picking up an early kill will help them out. Modi, again, just so well positioned to ruin any chance they have in this round. Fading out the time.
Great.
This guy is just so smart.
I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, he's holding the angle outside of vent drop, and you could see how he could have tried to take the fight close range with the Tech 9, but the moment the player's about to round the corner, he actually just gives him a little bit of space, and certainly the counter-terrorist walks out to his own death, giving his back for Modi to pounce upon. So, Modi heads up, counter-strike yet again, also clearing the player from the back of the lower silo. A lot of players would get very fixated on planting the bomb and just try to force the issue, but he ensures, of course, that the one position other than vents he can clear is indeed empty before he decides to punch in the numbers. So great play from him, and Heroic forcing the issue in a round they had no business winning, now sitting on 14, just one short of securing overtime. Frisbee going to reveal his position early on by firing off some rounds, and it's actually to his demise, seeing as he's been etched down to 3 HP. Damage dealt back, though. Nico sitting on 46 as well here, but the outer yard certainly in the control of Heroic until they attempt to challenge the cross, where ECFN is holding from on high.
How much is Searson going to go for here? Of course it's Modi. Of course, he's just waiting. Ready for the pushes to come in. We will see a trade, however. Nico's going to be able to do the damage once more. Has fallen off a little bit from the start that he had over on that CT side, but I don't think they're going to mind too much. Yugi has definitely stepped up. We saw him yesterday with only 6 kills. Or no, 8 kills, sorry. Still not done just yet. He is going to be one of the men left alive after we see ECFN finding a kill for himself alongside Tizian. Or is it just going to be the timing that gets the better of him here? He's actually turned around and looked towards upper. Tizian is going to take things back. Now, they're going to go on a long rotation all the way around to B. They've only got 25 seconds left on the clock, so they've got to be pretty careful with the way this goes. And Yugi's actually going to be caught out in the open. This leaves Modi to do this alone, and Oscar will catch him with the mag. Straight back, the break comes in. The T still have enough money to go for something interesting here.
Yeah, certainly. They're lucky that they still have that cash in their coffers. They're going to invest back into the 5 AKs, so we find them yet again on primaries. But honestly, Tom, they found more success with pistols.
Yep.
So hopefully they're going to actually be able to find a middle ground where they can use a strategy similar to what they've been throwing the way of alternate in those pistol rounds, the sheer aggression, the fast map control, but just do it with rifles. Use it, your nades. Take that portion of the map quickly, and maybe not so much fixated on the outer yard where they seem to actually take some heavy losses as they close out the distance. But they will try to just squeeze their way back into the building from Mini. Modi already waiting outside of the vents here inside of Hut. Crisby finds that opening frag, though, and he's dropped down to 13 health. So the CTs yet again holding back from their spawn. But Nico hits the headshot. Nico finds a second as Yugi drops the third. It is going to be Heroic sitting into the 4 versus 2 straight out of nowhere. Looked as though alternate aTTaX were going to be able to contest once more, but that is not the case. They're going to need a big play from Searson or Tizian in this round.
They've already found one. Yugi's pretty low. And him and Nico have been the ones to watch over on this T side so far. Now, the problem with the way they played the last round, I feel like they overthought things. They just started going for over-rotations and ran out of time to actually do anything impressive. We are going to see Snappy just try and spam away and find something. So far, not so good. Positional-wise, it's going to come down to Searson. He's going to be dropped very, very quickly, and the rotation is already in from Tizzy, and he was thinking it was going to be B. He's got this one completely wrong. He doesn't even get the shot. And that could have at least given him a little bit of hope to try and fight this round back. Now, in terms of money, CT side really don't have too much to play with. Obviously, Tizian may be able to drop one weapon, but other than that, the rest of the team would have to be going with UMPs and pistols. But then again, that seemed to be the top buy that we've had in this game so far.
Yeah, unfortunately for Alternate, they're not going to have the cash flow to bounce back on, whereas Heroic were at least already on the 4-round loss bonus when they pieced together their win. And again, it was off of the pistols, right? So they still had a decent couple of $1,000s on all of them. This time around, Alternate, they'll be able to work something out if Tizian is able to save this gun, but Yugi is here, and Yugi is down. Snappy's going to try to close it. The flashbang should ensure his safety, but no! Such a long... I feel like that after explosion timer was just so goddamn long. Heroic is going to actually find themselves that frag. So Alternate Attacks, Grandfather, nothing forward into this round. They're going to have to buy up with what they've got, and that nets them one M4, a Mag 7, and a trio of pistols.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a big ask, but definitely seen crazier things happen in this game so far. Expecting some sort of aggression to come out from the CT side at least. Yugi's going to be boosted up. He's already spotted one. Crispy down to just 22 HP, and the Molotov will follow him down. ECFM going to go pushing through the smoke. He's already been tagged. I wonder if they actually heard that. In the meantime, we've seen some aggression come out from his CT side. Tizian will be able to catch Modi and bring it back to a 4 versus 3, but still not looking like a good position. They've got absolutely no utility, no kits. Well, actually, they do have an HE and a flash, but that's about it.
We'll see what Heroic do middle round. We've seen them actually lose certain situations like this despite being in an advantage. But this time around, they're going to boost 3 players, looks like, up into the heavens, where Searson will find one. My goodness, they've got no clue where that kill came from. You can see them pondering. Yugi, though, finds the kill back onto Crisby, so they execute forward. Heroic going to take the control of the A site. Bomb will be planted most certainly. Valde already in a strong afterplant from above. The safety of this yellow portion does give him some cover. Bombs planted. Snappy trades. Tizian does the same. It's going to be down to Valde, and he's standing in the open. He could have just been 5 feet to the right, completely able to crouch and cover, but that's not the case. He's standing in the middle of that catwalk, and so an easy frag for Tizian, a 3K in the round. Searson takes 2, and Alternate Attacks find a 13th round. This game, Tom, should be over.
Yeah, I think there were multiple mistakes there from Heroic. For starters, nobody defending the bomb at all. Even though there were 2 players who could have killed him as he walks out to go and get that kill onto the bomb planter. It just didn't have anybody defending, and then after that, obviously, Valde just stuck in the middle. Don't really know what the plan was there, but they are only going to partially invest. Now, I say partially invest. They've won with less. See whether or not we can see some Yugi magic with the CZ once again. He's hit his 30 bomb. 2 KD at the moment. Doing a hell of a lot of work for this team, and he has been the difference between what they played yesterday and today. Now we're going to see Tizian on the high. He's going to be ready and waiting. Sprays down the first, second, third. Looking for a 4th. This is getting a shut down at the moment. We'll see a couple of trades back. Oscar in a decent position, however, and Snappy will be shut down as well. So it's all going to come down to last round. We've already had an OT today. Had plenty of OTs yesterday. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was one more on the cards.
AK-47s here in the hands of Heroic for the 30th round. So we have gone the distance, and the terrorist forces actually end up with a better buy-in here than Alternate Attacks. So interestingly enough, there are some limitations in the form of the Ump and FAMAS, but plenty of nades on both sides, and that's really what's going to be crucial to see how they try to section off portions of the map and play for control. Nico already going to creep his way towards Secret. Crisby holding a much more passive angle within the garage. Will not be able to spot him, but he could have certainly heard him, and information a powerful tool on Nuke when it comes to the rotations, especially seeing as Alternate Attacks already have players out towards ramp. So it could be a quick rotate down, but Heroic already closing into the distance here. 4 players moving down quickly into the B-bomb site. Valde opens the doors up wide. CT's still not rotating in to try and contest this, as opposed to maybe just going for the retake. No frags found. Could be actually a bomb planted with 10 players up. A rare occasion for us to watch.
Yeah, they're just managing to sneak past the majority. Should have actually known this was happening just because of the damage done. And while they're going to line up for Yugi, it's still just going to be a trade at the moment in time. Snappy is waiting. He's sitting behind the new installed boxes. See whether or not anything can be done. We're going to see Crispy actually pushing back in through the vent. Hasn't been able to spot anything out. We'll throw a smoke onto the bomb. He spotted. Snappy actually wins the duel there as well. But look at Yugi's position. He's going to be just spraying through this smoke. It's not happening again like the Tech 9 fiasco. And it's all down to Oscar. He's going to go running. Doesn't manage to find Yugi. And the man finishes things off. 34 kills in all. Great performance from him. Valde actually pretty quiet overall, but it has been done and dusted. Map 1 will be won by Heroic, but it was their map pick.
Yeah, I mean that's really the big question here, right? Like we came into this series saying that these maps could actually favor either team, that it was quite even keel. And this is the perfect showing of exactly that. We go the distance to the 30th round. And I think if it's not for Heroic's little upset win off of the Pistols halfway through that T side, then suddenly it's very possible we do get that OT or even maybe a German victory. So a great map to start things off here in the first, but this just makes me even more excited for Mirage to come our way. Like you said, Valde, a bit slow off of this one, 13 frags at the end of things, but he has dropped out already. So I'm hoping maybe it was just a little bit of a technical issue and he'll get that sorted so he can come swinging full force on the second map.
Yep, but that said, we will be heading to a quick break, and we'll be back with map number 2 where, well, it's Mirage. It could go either way, but it is the alternate attacks pick, so we'll see if they can take